Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's networking session, which is co-hosted by Inclusive Black Communities and the African American Credit Union Coalition. The session is Empowering Black Consumers Through Credit Unions, and we have a really wonderful slate of information to share, as well as a chance for you guys to discuss as a group some of the things that you're doing in your own communities. My name is Monica Copeland. I'm a Senior Program Officer at Inclusive, and I lead an initiative called Inclusive Black Communities. Inclusive Black Communities was created several years ago, and it kind of encapsulates our work with credit unions that are led by and serving African Americans throughout the country. There are over 350 credit unions of that type, but we also do a lot of work with MDIs, or minority depository institutions, to make sure that they are not only surviving, but also thriving. In terms of housekeeping announcements, just wanted to encourage everybody who's on today's networking session to turn your cameras on. You will have a chance to enter small group breakouts in the second half, and so that's really where having the camera on would be really nice and appreciated. And we encourage you to also use the chat boxes to type in any questions or comments throughout the session. We will try to collect your questions, and then there will be time during the first portion to have an audience question and answer period. If you experience any technical difficulties, please contact EM support at advancednetlabs.org, and our speaker bios are available at inclusive.org about-us/2021 speakers. We've heard it several times throughout the half day of our conference, but we are, posting very frequently and regularly on Facebook and Twitter. So the handle is at InclusiveCDCUs, and you can use the hashtag to follow any announcements and updates. Everybody, in terms of attendees, are using the hashtag CDCUCON 2021. And all of the videos and recordings will be available on Inclusive's YouTube channel by October 11th. In terms of what you're going to experience today during this hour-long session is, we've kind of divided into two parts. The first half is us, offering a chance to meet Inclusive and also hear some announcements from the African American Credit Union Coalition. And then we wanted to spotlight one of our credit union members who's actually a member of both Inclusive and the AACUC. The credit union is Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union. And then, as you're listening to Ms. Blanche Jackson share about her credit union, please think about questions you want to ask her. She's here and available and can elaborate on anything that she's sharing with us today. Then we want to use the second half of our session to do some peer learning. If you were in person at a conference, this would be a chance to kind of get together and see people in a smaller setting. Maybe you haven't been able to do so in some of the bigger plenaries today, but this is a chance to actually meet with some of your peers and have some sharing of best practices. So we'll encourage you to do your introductions in the small group, have a discussion, and we'll provide a discussion prompt and then wrap up. I'm going to turn things over to my co-host, Emma Hayes from the African American Credit Union Coalition. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Monica. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you guys today. Thank you so much for joining us. As Monica mentioned, we are here to have a great, involved conversation, inclusive conversation, pun intended. So please feel free to join in the conversation once we get into our breakout rooms and in the chat. Before I get started, I just want to share with you a couple of things that AACUC has coming up. Right now, we are in the process of the registration process for our Board Ready training, which is an 8-week program designed to help enhance leadership skills and prepare you if you have any interest in serving on a nonprofit board within your community. It's 8 weeks long, and they meet for 2.5 hours each week. Registration, however, is closing tomorrow. So if you are interested, I would say do that sooner rather than later, i.e. today. Also, we have the continued conversation, the commitment to change conversation that occurs monthly. Our final 3 conversations of this year will follow our conference theme of be bold, be mindful, be brave. So you can join us on October 15th, November 19th, and December 17th for those topics respective. We also have our DEI Academy for Financial Professionals. Registration for that will open in November for our January start. This is a certificate program designed to inspire and empower financial professionals to lead with the mindset of diversity, equity, and inclusion to better represent and serve the global community for which we are a part. And then finally, I would like to share with you the AACUC mentorship program, which is also going to be launching next year, 2020 in February. And applications for that, we will begin taking those November 30th. So check our website for all of these events. And now I have the pleasure of introducing our facilitator for this conversation, the first part of this conversation this evening, Ms. Blanche Jackson, the CEO for Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union in Wilmington, Delaware. She is the current CEO there with the primary responsibility of overseeing the day-to-day operations and implementing products and services that are needed to provide financial stability in the city of Wilmington. She has been the mentor of Stepping Stones since 2009 and instrumental in its chartering in 2011. Since 2011, Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union has been the lead financial institution dedicated to serving the limited income communities of Wilmington, Delaware. Its purpose is to deliver safe and reliable access to money, credit, and other financial services without the high costs associated with the typical check cashing and predatory banking services. With her passion and commitment to serving the under and unserved, she seemed an admirable choice for sharing in this conversation around empowering Black consumers. So let's give her a big welcome as she comes and shares with us today. Thank you so much, Ms. Jackson. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Elma. I appreciate that introduction. Good evening, everyone. I am again from Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union, and I wanted to start our conversation off giving you a little bit of history about our credit union. So we're located in Wilmington, Delaware. We're a little over $4 million in assets. We've got 1,068 members. So we got chartered in 2011. We were the only credit union chartered in 2011 by NCUA. In 2012, we opened our doors on the east side of Wilmington, and the picture that you see on the screen is actually our credit union branch right now. It's in a converted row home in the center of the city. In 2015, we acquired a former bank branch on the west side of Wilmington. Fulton Bank was moving out of the city, and they donated their bank branch to us. We haven't used it yet for the credit union, but our nonprofit partner, Delaware Community Reinvestment Action Council, who was instrumental in the credit union being formed, is actually using that as their admin offices, and we're going to put a satellite office in that branch. In 2016, we started offering access to our members through ATM with an instant issuance ATM card. We weren't, and we still aren't currently, a cash branch. We will give out cash that we take in, but we don't have normal large amounts of cash on hand. Couple of reasons. One, we're in the city. Two, we're a small staff. So for safety and security reasons, we give our members ATM cards for them to have access to their funds. In 2018, we purchased the van so we could bring our branch into the community. We open accounts and provide instant issuance ATM cards on the van, and I'll talk a little bit more about that after I go through our history. In 2019, we became the official financial institution for the City of Wilmington's Summer Youth Challenge employment program. A lot of the children or teens that they hired this was the first experience of them having a bank account. So we spent time working with them and teaching them how to endorse a check, how to make deposits, and anything that would help them along the way. 2020, we implemented our digital services, online banking, mobile banking, and bill pay services. One, we wanted to be able to reduce the digital divide, help reduce the digital divide in our community, but it also came in at the perfect time as the pandemic hit, because our members then could turn to digital services to do any of their financial business. In 2021, we offered SBA PPP loans, 2020 and 21, to nonprofits, small businesses, and the Schedule C filers. So it helped them get through the COVID-19 pandemic as well. Next slide. So this is a picture of our van. It is a reconverted cargo van. It's been refitted and wrapped. It goes into different communities where we can open accounts and we print instant issuance ATM cards. We don't take any cash on the van. We try not to take checks on a normal basis. We park it sometimes down at the city county building so that people who are working in our downtown area can come up and they can open an account right on the spot if they would like to. The other thing that we did with the van during the pandemic is we were able to park it across the street from our branch and use it as our branch. So our members did not have to come into the branch. They could handle all their transactions across the street. And even if we took cash at that moment, we would walk the cash across to the branch and then deposit it. We give them instant issuance ATM cards. So whenever we go to different functions, we get a lot of requests from community organizations, even some of the housing authority residents. We go to their buildings and we will open accounts and give them cards while we're there. The van took about 6 months to get ready. We also had to work with an IT company who had never done this before. So trying to make sure that we had the security, the firewalls, the internet connection in the van was a first-time experience for us and for them. So it was a learning experience, but successfully we made it through, and the van has been very well received since 2018. I think the funniest part of our story with the van is that it started out just to be a marketing piece. We were going to ride it around the city and let everyone see that we were in the community. And then we decided, well, why not just use it to actually take it into the community where they really needed the service. Next slide. That is our van at one of the city county buildings, and we were opening an account for 2 people who worked at the county building. So one of the things I did want to mention, so we have several initiatives that we are working on or have implemented in the city to help our members bridge that digital divide. So one of them is an economic inclusion opportunity where we have partnered with Xfinity and Comcast to offer internet services to our members at $9.95 a month. What we did was we looked at what we thought our members were spending in fees or on their internet cost. So for step 1, what we looked at is that for most of our members, if they're banking traditional banks, they could end up being feed as much as $25 a month. So with our Stepping Stones account, there are no fees. They don't overdraw because we have digital services. So we don't have a traditional checking account. Everything is done digitally. And there's no overdraft fees. We have a relationship with one of the larger banks in Delaware. So we have access to their ATMs, all surcharge free. So there's no charge for them to use their ATM card. And then we have a couple of places that automatically have no surcharges. So that would save them, according to our estimate, about $25 a month. We worked with our nonprofit organization and we got $750,000 from the CARES Act, and we bought 1,500 computers. So we've started holding weekly workshops for our members so that we can actually put a computer in their hands at no cost. That computer they can then use to learn our digital services. Some of them need to do telehealth appointments. Especially during the pandemic, there were things that they needed a computer for and they didn't have access to it. So we have been able to give them computers. So we've taken away that challenge. And then third was our partnership with Comcast and Xfinity, with offering them their internet service at $10 a month. The majority of our members said with their internet and with their cable, they were paying maybe around $90 a month. So we figured if they could get rid of their cable and their internet and come through our program, that would be $10 a month. So it would save them in essence about $80 a month. What we're working on now is a relationship with a streaming service to see if we can get them a streaming platform at a reduced rate or maybe even free for a while, which will save them even more. Next slide. So currently we have 1,068 members, and I just wanted to show our membership growth from the time, especially in 2018, when we started the van to where we are now, well, where we were in 2020, and now we're at 1,068 members. And then our loan growth the same from 2017 to 2020. A lot of our loan growth in 2020 was PPP loans. We were able to do 56 PPP loans that were under 150,000 and 4 that were between 200,000 and 700,000. So we were able, in essence, to help over 50 small businesses or nonprofits in the city of Wilmington, which especially from the first round of PPP, they weren't able to get funded. So we found the second round, we focused on the nonprofits. And then that last round, we focused on the small businesses and the Schedule C filers. One of our partnerships that I did want to talk about this year, that we have this year, and it just started in June, is with the Department of Correction. So we are able to provide savings accounts for the residents of the prisons in Delaware. We are located in one county in Delaware, which is Newcastle County, but we are working with all 3 prisons, and there's a prison in each county. We are promoting savings for them so that when they are released, they have money to maybe pay for their fines or to help them get an apartment or to just start their lives as they come back into society. We are working with another organization to provide financial education workshops for them. We haven't been able to get back into the prisons yet because of the pandemic. They're still not able to host any type of trainings, but as soon as they can, we're going to be back in there doing trainings. So right now, what's interesting is that most of the information is coming from their social service department, which I worked with them to make sure we had a proper application, disclosures, to make sure that they understood what services they can and can't have, because some of the accounts are restricted from our normal services, partly to protect the credit union, but also because they are limited to what they have access to while they're incarcerated. Between June the 1st and now, we have 120 accounts that we've opened, and we have a total of around $25,000 to $30,000 in savings. So every day we're getting a check. Sometimes the check is as small as $5, and sometimes it's a couple $100. What we found out is that in the prison, there's a certain amount of money that they can keep on their account. So anything over that amount, they are offering a Stepping Stones account to them to send the money for us to save for them. So far, it's been a very good partnership. We get a lot of conversations going back and forth between us and the prisons. And for us, it's one of our goals is to see that, you know, they can save money and then to see if that impacts the recidivism rate. We'll be monitoring that as we go on through the years and see if we can find any correlation to that. The last thing that I want to talk about, and it's not one of our projects and it's not on this slide presentation, is we have a relationship with an organization called Reciprocity Health. They are a digital health incentive company that is partnered with one of our major health insurance carriers in Delaware. they're working with the Medicaid recipients to start out with, offering them incentives, cash incentives for doing things that the doctor may have given them a guidance on. So I don't know if you're a diabetic, maybe the doctor said you need to walk a mile or two in a week, and they would monitor that. And if they can give that information to Reciprocity Health, they give them a cash reward on a prepaid debit card. They can use that debit card to go shopping online, all of those things, but they can't get cash from that card and they can't save it. So we are the only financial institution that has partnered with Reciprocity Health. So in their mobile app, there is an option for that person to open an account with Stepping Stones. And that is the only way they can actually get cash from that card. So what we're hoping is that we provide the savings vehicle for these people to take those cash rewards and then save them. That project should launch in the next month. We're waiting on the health insurance company to be ready, but all of the mobile app pieces have come together and we should be launching that very soon. The other thing I wanted to talk about is our future plan, because one of our biggest future plans is a small mortgage program for our city residents. We would like to see, there's 85% of our city is landlord-owned buildings. So most of our city residents are renters. So part of our goal is to turn renters into homeowners and to also turn blocks of city properties into homeowner properties. So we're working now to put the final touches on our mortgage program, and we have currently 4 families that are ready to apply and work with to get into homes. So for our small credit union, and I don't know if I mentioned this, which I usually try to in the beginning, we are the smallest financial institution in the state of Delaware. And we are dedicated to making sure that our members are allowed to bank just like anybody else, that they have all the products and services available to them. So there's no barrier. Even when they go to open an account with us, we provide them the first $5 to open the account. So we have taken away any real barrier to open an account. We will fund it. They just have to show up and complete their application and give us their ID. And then we can go from there. So we're definitely working toward making sure that our community has all of the financial services that they need. Excuse me, one thing that I will mention is a savings club that we started. It's called the 1378 Club. And for our members, they save the dollar amount of the week. So for every week of the year, they would say the first week $1, second week $2, on to the 52nd week. And by the end of the year, they've saved $1,378. We started 3 years ago with one person doing this challenge, and now we have 25. So and that's something that we just continue to tell our members about and help them realize that sometimes, and even if they can't do every week, that just putting something into that savings account is helpful for them. I think that is everything that I have to talk about for our credit union. And now I'm very happy to answer any questions, to share any additional information.
I did see one question in the chat. Someone asked, where is your membership growth mostly coming from, such as word of mouth or families, partnership, direct outreach? Where is the growth?
So most of our growth is coming from our partnerships and from our word of mouth. It seems that once a family member becomes a member of the credit union and they start using our services, then they're bringing in other family members and they're bringing in other friends. Our partnerships are definitely bringing in members. Just the Department of Correction alone has brought in 120 members between June and now. And those members are actually saving. So it's a combination.
All the programs, you have to have a staff of 200 people easily, right? Like how is it that you're able to get all of this stuff done with a limited staff? So tell us about your staff.
Sure. So we have a staff of 2.5, I like to say. One of my board members actually drives the van around to our community events and takes it to wherever we need it to go. But he also comes in and tellers for us. And then I have a manager and myself. So between the three of us, we make it work. We get accounts open. And of course, I mean, everybody who's got a small credit union knows that you jump in and you do whatever needs to be done. So between the three of us, so far, we've been able to handle everything and not have anybody feel like they're not being taken care of.
I will say that you have an extremely vast reach in terms of your partnerships. Can you tell us where you get these ideas for who you're going to be partnering with and how you go about reaching out to those partners and cementing those relationships? Because sometimes it's difficult getting in the door, yes, especially absolutely, when you're a smaller financial institution.
Absolutely. So I'll tell you, one of our big champions, and I did neglect to mention this, when we did our mobile branch, we've been very fortunate that we have a lot of partnerships with the banks in Wilmington. So we probably have 9 or 10 of them that have put non-member deposits into stepping stones. But we have one bank, Discover, who has been a very, very good partner for us. So some of the partnerships, like the Department of Corrections, a couple of other partnerships that we're working on our mortgage program, our chairman is from Discover Bank, and he's leveraged some of his relationships for our partnerships to make sure that we're doing what we need to do for the residents in the city. Because Discover, although they're in the city, they don't do any direct service like that. So part of their commitment through us is to work with the residents of the city. Our board members are very good at getting partnerships because they're all from the community, or at least a lot of them are from the community. So they lean on the churches, on the nonprofit organizations. And then I would be remiss if I didn't mention the nonprofit organization that started us, which is Delaware Community Reinvestment Action Council, that's been in the city for over 30 years. So we leverage those relationships as well.
Well, it sounds like you guys are really rock stars in the Wilmington, Delaware area. Wish we could clone you guys and just spread you all over, just because you have so many programs that I think will reach so many people as you continue to grow and word of mouth continues to spread. So the idea around funding the accounts and removing that barrier, can you tell us a little bit about how that came up? How did you know that was a barrier for the people who might need to open those accounts, and then how you came up with a plan to overcome that?
Sure. When we first, I would say maybe around 2016, when we started trying to market more to the community, a lot of times when we went out to the community, that was what people, I don't have $5 to put in the account. I don't have any money to put in the account. So we realized in talking to my board chair that was one of the biggest obstacles. So with the help of Discover, we were able to start funding that $5, and they've funded it ever since. So far, it's something that we see continuing, and it's one of our big selling points to people that, you don't have to have any money. We will put that $5 in your account. So when sometimes the conversation goes to, oh, if I had, I would do, we can get rid of that part of the conversation because we're going to take care of that for you.
Andrea wants to know if you guys are paid staff, or are you all volunteer, and how can we inspire more people to volunteer if that's the case?
So I guess it's kind of interesting the way we're structured. So the nonprofit pays our salaries and we work for the credit union. So for the three of us, the nonprofit, we stay on the nonprofit's books, and then we are dedicated truly to the credit union until we get to a point where the credit union is self-sufficient and we can move our salaries over. But it also gives the nonprofit organization the opportunity to raise grant funds for the credit union.
That does seem like a great model. How are members able to continue saving when you place the $5 in the account? After you've taken the responsibility of opening the account, funding the account. How do you then ensure that they're bought in, right? They haven't done anything to really be invested in this account that they now have access to. How do you know, and what are you doing to keep them making deposits and coming back and using the services instead of those typical check cashing places that they're accustomed to going to?
So that's funny too, because that's one of our mottos is don't pay to get paid. So when we're talking to our members about coming to the credit union, that's one of the ways that we have been able to establish that relationship, that you can have your money direct deposited into your account. You can bring your check in if you're still getting a paper check, and then you have access to your funds without any fees. So I would say that if we talked about our membership when we first started, from anywhere from 2011 to 2015, we had a lot of dormant accounts because we were putting $5 in and there was no commitment. But anywhere from 2015 until now, the members are coming to us to open accounts because they want to save, or they've had a bad experience at a bank and they're now wanting to come to someone in the community. And I hear a lot, probably in the last 3 years, of them calling and saying, is this an African-American owned financial institution? And once you say yes, then here they come and their family comes, because everyone now is trying to, one, know that we're in the community. And we always say we're in the community, for the community, by the community, which allows us then to just deepen that relationship.
That's awesome. That is amazing. And I think we have one more question, and then we're going to start transitioning to the second half of our program. But it says, in addition to the prisons, do you offer financial education in the community?
We do, yes. Before the pandemic, of course, we would go out to different organizations, different community centers, and we would do workshops for them. We do one-on-one counseling, so anyone can come in and meet with our manager, and she'll go through a process with them. We partner with another organization that will go out and do some financial counseling as well. But yes, we do offer that. As small as we are, we offer that as well.
So I'm guessing there's no time for sleeping or eating or anything else. It's all just about working.
All credit union, absolutely.
all credit union all the time. We definitely appreciate you sharing the things that you are doing in the community and for the people who may otherwise have slipped through the cracks in terms of financial services. We definitely appreciate your innovation in reaching them. So I'm going to turn it over to Monica, who's going to explain what we're going to be doing for the second half of our conversation this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blanche, and thank you, Emma, for facilitating the conversation. Such a great start of a conversation. Blanche, I feel like you could do a whole hour-long webinar on all of the things that you're doing. There's so many follow-up questions. So with the people that are still with us, we definitely want to, use this time to network with each other and share and hear what's going on at your credit unions. So we are going to do, we'll have a discussion topic. And I'll share my screen in just a second, but we're going to be using the breakout rooms. So randomly assigned, there will be staff members and members of the staff to help facilitate these questions. But the key question is, how is your credit union currently empowering Black consumers? What programs do you have that you'd like to share with your small group? These examples might include special targeted outreach and partnerships you may have, marketing tools or financial products and services. Perhaps you have something along the lines of helping Black businesses or entrepreneurs, homeowners or auto loans, and perhaps financial education or counseling. So it could be, something completely different, or it could be something similar, but we'd love to hear what you're doing at your credit unions and your communities. So we're going to go ahead and do the breakouts and then take it from there. If for any reason we run out of time because the conversations are going so well, I just want to mention that we're going to be reconvening tomorrow morning at 9:15, and we have a full day full of programming. So can't wait to share that day with you. But Marika, if you can send, thanks. All right, welcome back, everyone. Sorry to have cut off some really great conversations. I know that there's going to be some feedback. It's like, leave the breakout group a little bit longer, but just wanted to hear from the group since we have a few minutes. Did you have any like particularly interesting programs that you heard about? Like maybe hear one or two examples if somebody wants to share what they're doing at their credit union. And you just unmute your, if you're able.
Well, we talked a little bit about emergency loans, basically. And I just mentioned that we were able to adapt one of our products fairly quickly after a flood here in Detroit. But I like Galen's. Why don't you tell them a little bit about what you guys are doing?
Sure. So everyone, Galen Dobbins from Travis Credit Union out in Vacaville, Fairfield area in California. Obviously, unlike a lot of other people who are dealing with too much water, California has none. And so that leads to a massive amount of fires. So TCU is in a lot of like outreach. You know, if you're inside an affected area, we do everything we can to help with recovery loans. And I would say California has an issue that we need to work on where if you have a fire insurance claim, you get paid on that claim, but the state treats it as income and it taxes it as income. Wow. And so when we're talking about recovery, this is something where we see that credit unions and financial institutions in general need to take a bigger step in helping out.
So one of the things that we talked about in our breakout session was we talked about the PPP loans, and we talked about how difficult it could be for the average person to fill out a government application or a government form. And I was explaining to them that I work for SBA on the other side of the portal, and I seen where just the simplest little thing, like not filling out your taxes, not having your paperwork, not knowing your social security number, not knowing your email address. All these things are barriers to people being able to access government funding. And what I found was that several credit unions, we was talking about Stepping Stone here, Miss Blanche, and how she had to take people like we did at First Choice Credit Union and Credit Union of Atlanta in Atlanta, where we literally took clients by the hand and walked them through the process over the phone. Because had it not been for us or gatekeepers like us, that some people would have not been able to access funds, albeit they can't access funds in general for just not having the right business foundations. So what I would like to say would be that we need to just continue to work with people. When we talk about financial literacy, we also talk about like just knowing your basic personal information and actually knowing how to fill out forms, and particularly in any disaster area. You talked about California, you got the fires. Anywhere, I worked with FEMA before, so I know that most people don't know their personal information, and we have to do a better job at not only focusing on the subject matter they need to learn, but just basic stuff so access to capital will be easier to attain.
Thank you so much. Anybody else want to share? Since we just have a couple more minutes before we close.
I really liked Joe's what they're doing with the grants, the matching grants for home ownership. Joe, do you want to do that? Can you do that?
Oh,
Joe, you're on mute. You're on mute.
I'm going to have my colleague Kim Ritter jump on and talk about the BIPOC Prosperity Fund.
Thanks, Joe. I'm Kim Ritter. I'm from Alternatives Federal Credit Union in Ithaca. We have a really neat savings matching program. There's two halves of it, I think of it. So there's the home side, which we take applicants from Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities, and we will match them 8-to-1 for down payment assistance. So if they save $2,500, we give them $20,000 to go towards their down payment. And that's not a repayable thing. It's not a lien on the home. It's just totally their money. And then we have a business side of it too. So that one, the match rate varies. They can get a match of anywhere from $500 to $4,000. And that's just to start BIPOC businesses in our community, because that was definitely something that we saw was a need.
Thank you for sharing that, Kim. How has it been received, these programs, like a BIPOC business? Is it like oversubscribed, or how is it going?
It's been very good. We've had a touch of a wait list, so not overwhelming, but a little bit of a wait list, which is nice in case somebody drops out. The funders for the program, when we wrote the grant, they were so excited about it that they doubled our ask, which was nice. So that was exciting, and I'm really hoping that it gets traction and we can continue to do this years on end.
Great, thank you. All right, well, I think we've had a really great day of wonderful sessions. I just want to thank my co-host, Emma Hayes from the African American Credit Union Coalition. Thank you, Ms. Blanche Jackson, for sharing your stories about all the wonderful things that you're doing at Stepping Stones. I've already had people asking for the PowerPoint and the recording will be available after by October 11th. I want to encourage everybody to, well, thank you all for attending this session, this breakout group. It's been really great to just, see your faces and meet some of you, and hope we can also continue working with you on some of our MDI initiatives together. And again, tomorrow morning, we're going to begin bright and early, 9:15. It'll start off with a conversation. Our conference will start off with day 2 with conversation with Robert Smith. Many of you might know him. He's a business owner and also the CEO of Vista Equity Partners, and that conversation will happen between Robert and Kathy Mann. So thank you all. If you have any feedback or questions, or if you need anything, feel free to reach out anytime. And thank you for a wonderful networking session. Talk to you guys later. Have a great day.